Question with a follow-up. Those of you on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We will call on you as we are available. With that, we'll open it up for Coach Freeman's opening statement.
Well, welcome back. Obviously coming off the bye week, and hope everybody's feeling refreshed. You know, I think our players are, coaches are ready to roll. We know we have a extremely difficult opponent coming up, and we're looking forward to it. Obviously, the Shamrock Series is what makes Notre Dame unique. It's one of our distinctions, and the chance to go and play a home game in Las Vegas is extremely exciting opportunity versus a really good opponent. And so we're looking forward to it. The bye week went really well. I mean, I think it's a chance for us as a football team to improve. And that was my challenge as a head coach to these guys and to our staff was we have to find a way to improve in our 3 days of practice, but also to physically and mentally recover. Right? There were some guys that were injured that we had to be able to get them physically recovered, and I think everybody in our program had to mentally recover and prepare for this 8-game stretch coming up. And so it was a really good week. We didn't have any distractions. That was a challenge I really laid out for our players. No distractions this week. Continue to get better, and I was pleased with how the bye week went. Obviously, coaches went on the road recruiting on Monday and Thursday and Friday, and a lot of coaches got back Saturday morning. So really, really productive week and ready to move forward to BYU. So with that, I'll open it up.
Second row on your right, Tom Noy.
Marcus, what's the biggest challenge for this team to kind of pick up where they left off come after the Carolina game? Like, you guys are playing really well, and then you have to take that week off.
Yeah, I think, it's twofold. You want to build off the momentum, but, to me it's the challenge to really reevaluate and reassess where you are after each game, right? And you have a week off, but to me it's let's evaluate the past, evaluate how we can improve, and ultimately put all of our energy and emotion into this game. And again, it's going to be about the preparation. I say it every single week. And it's the challenge is to focus on the things that help you get the desired results, right? And it's the preparation, how we prepare. And then, Saturday will come. And starting with practice today, we got to have a great Monday practice and continue to really, really prepare the right way.
How do you eliminate distractions playing in a city that's one big distraction?
Yeah, we got to do a good job. We're not going to get out there in time to experience any of the distractions that I think Las Vegas can present. We're going to get there and be very strategic on what we do. Go to the stadium. I want them to go see Allegiant Stadium, spend a little bit of time there, go straight to the hotel, have dinner. We'll have some time together, a normal meeting that we have on Friday nights, and then they're going to go to bed. And we have to remember that our bodies are used to Eastern Standard Time, so we're going to try to get them to bed at a decent hour and wake them up, at a decent hour to get us ready for the game on Saturday.
Third row on your left, Tim Priester.
Marcus, you can appeal or ask for an evaluation on a targeting call, correct?
Yeah.
Did you do that with J.D. Bertrand?
Yeah.
And what was the result of that?
Deny.
Did you get feedback, or it's just
No, they said that in their opinion, that was a targeting penalty, and they denied our appeal, and he'll be out for the first half of this game.
So actually hitting with the face mask is not legal.
Yeah, I'll save my opinion. Okay. But, yeah, we felt like we had a strong appeal, and it was denied.
I think a couple of weeks ago you talked about during the bye week you needed to keep working. I wondered how you balanced. You talked about getting rest, but also being physical. And you went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is that accurate?
That's correct. And when I say physically recover, there's certain guys that needed that were banged up, that needed to recover. The Ramon Hendersons, DJ Browns, Michael Mayer was banged up. A lot of those running backs had played a lot of plays, but for the majority of the group, we had to get better. And for guess what? For Michael Mayer, physically recovering is going to help him get better. But for the majority of the group, we had to go out there and we had to bang, and we had to practice with pads on and really get after it. And it was a chance for us to, at the end of practice, kind of get some of those young guys to practice some live reps and really, really develop the core nucleus of our team. And so we had some really physically challenging practices, but I believe today on Monday, they're recovered, and we're going to have a great Monday practice.
Next question will be from Zoom, Brian Driscoll.
Coach, I wanted to see if you could kind of explain it, or maybe just kind of ask about self-scouting. Does the bye week give you a chance to do a little bit more thorough self-scouting, since you don't have to kind of like by Sunday night and Monday jump right into the next game, to where you can kind of evaluate things? And then also, does it provide you with maybe some opportunities to maybe make some changes if they're needed, because you do have the extra time to kind of look at yourself?
Yeah. It's only a 4-week really span of what you can self-scout. So it's not a extremely large body to really evaluate, but we did. We spent time looking at the things we've done well, things we have to improve on, and really attacking. And with that, preparing for BYU, we still had to have some periods in practice that were predicated towards preparing for BYU. So it was a little bit of both. But yeah, part of that time is self-scouting and finding ways to improve.
Front row on your left, Patrick Engel.
Marcus, after the opener in Ohio State, we heard you talk a lot about like learning how to finish and trying to figure out how to do that. And then after the last couple of games, it seems more it's been about like, preparation and forget the results. How have you seen that message kind of resonate in practice and kind of building off of what I imagine resonated enough to get you 2 wins? Yeah,
I think as a leader, you got to start by looking at yourself. And when you put so much emphasis into finishing, as I brought up before, we were up versus Oklahoma going into the second half and partly through the third quarter. We're up versus Ohio State. We're up versus Marshall. We're up versus Cal. We keep going. And so all of a sudden you sit here and you talk about finishing, but then you really go back and evaluate, and there's plays in the first quarter that we weren't executing the way we're supposed to. And so that's kind of where me as a leader said, hold on, take all the emphasis off of finishing and really look at every play of the game and focus on execution and execution in our preparation and really taking a deep dive into the way we prepare. And the point of emphasis in being, are we executing in practice the way we need to help us execute in the game? And so I kind of just took the focus. It's not about finishing, it's about finishing every play, right? And that you got to make sure you execute on play one, no matter if you're up or down, as you do in the fourth quarter. And so I wanted to make sure that our focus is on every play of this game and not just finishing in the fourth.
And then on Ramon Henderson, DJ Brown, injury-wise, where are they at? And by extension, what might any potential absence there mean for Xavier Watson, kind of what you saw from him in extended action against UNC?
Yeah, let me start with X. X did a really good job. There's the play, the touchdown that we got to make sure we take an angle where we can get that guy down. But X is a guy that continuously improves, and he's been playing the safety position close to a year. Hasn't even been a year yet. We moved him obviously last year during the season. But he's getting better, and he has a lot of natural ability that we have to continue to coach and mold to be an excellent safety, but he has the talent to do that. As far as Ramon and DJ, Rob Hunt, our head athletic trainer, texted me this morning that both of them look really good today and expect them to go in practice. And so, obviously we still have 5 days before our game, but I would expect both of those guys to be ready to go.
Third row on your right, Tim O'Malley.
Coach, with the early bye, were you in a position, though, in those 3 practices to see some of the younger players where, hey, there's scout teams, guys that are now on the cusp of varsity, or even the situation of, we got a 4-game redshirt situation, this guy can help us for 4 games, even if we don't want to, throw him into the mix for 8 games. Was there enough of that, or you're just early in the season at this point still?
Yeah, I think it's still early in the season. I don't want to say a guy's ready to redshirt yet or not. If they can help us, we got to play them. And to me, part of practicing those young guys and those scrimmage type reps at the end of practice was to see, okay, can this guy help us? When we're going full team, good on good. And we were able to see a lot of good things. As far as the bye week being after week 4, as I told the staff, you really got to look. We've been going at this thing since August 3rd, whenever we checked in the fall camp. And so it's really probably been about 2 months, from August, September. And then they got they got a bye week, and then we got another eight game stretch. So I think you could see the toll on the entire staff in terms of this 8 weeks. And this bye week was really at a good time. I love the look in the staff this morning and coming back fresh and ready to go. And again, I keep saying an 8-week span. It starts with this one and the preparation and the focus to get ready for BYU. And you don't got to watch a lot of the film to realize the challenge we have. This is a talented football team. It's 4-1. Plays extremely hard. They're a veteran football team, and not just with age, but with experience of playing the game. And we got our work cut out for us. So our guys will be motivated and ready to roll.
And follow up, I think you're 3 weeks in now where Steve Angeli went from scout team to we got to get him ready. But that first week wasn't really about getting him ready as much as it was Drew. Was the bye week beneficial for that? Was he able to kind of elevate his understanding and ability to run offense for you?
Yeah, every practice we're out there is beneficial for Steve because he's no longer taking scout team reps. He's taking real reps and understanding that at any moment he could be thrust into the game. So he's not, as I told him the other day, you're not a freshman anymore. You're one play away from being a starting quarterback at Notre Dame, and that's the reality of the situation. And if it happens, he'll be ready to go. And so every day we prepare, we practice, it's a day for Steve Angeli to get better.
Fourth row on your left, Pete Byrne.
Hey, Marcus, when you talked about self-scout a few minutes ago, you said you've identified some areas you think you guys are doing well and some areas where you think you're not. I'm wondering if you could share those with us, where you think you guys are strong right now and where you'd like to see improvement.
Well, I think, obviously we've been running the ball offensively where we want to. We've always want to get better, but we've improved at running the ball. Drew Pine has really made some really good decisions as a quarterback in terms of I've said it to this group in this room and to our team from the beginning of the year. When you have success running the ball, it opens up everything, right? It opens up the pass game. It opens up misdirection. It opens up everything. And so we have to have success running the ball, and that will open up, our passing game. And it's been really good to see Drew Pine, number one, make good decisions, right? And that's the most important thing at the quarterback position. Got to make the right decision. 2, he's limited his turnovers. He's taking care of the football. And then number 3, he's starting to make a lot of plays. And so it's good to see him in that growth and that part of our offense, some guys stepping up. Defensively, we have to, again, there's a series or two, a half that, we're letting teams go down and score, and one, it could be a big play. North Carolina, the first series of the game, it was quarterback scrambles. And so we have to get those little things fixed, but our defense is playing really, really well, and I love what Coach Golden is doing with the scheme, with our staff, with those players. They're doing a great job, but obviously the expectation is us to be perfect, and we can't give up a touchdown. And so we're critical in those situations, and they're working tirelessly to improve it.
And I know that there's not really any time allotted for the guys to experience Las Vegas. Are you at all concerned that some guys might find a way to do that even if there's not time?
They got the head coach. I'll be doing bed check at 8:30 Pacific time on Friday night, so I'm not too concerned.
Front row, far right, Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach, what kind of bye week did Meriwether, Colsey, and Wilkins have? And are they, any of them, close to helping you deepen your wide receiver rotation?
I think they are. I think they're improving. The biggest challenge for them is to continue to seek feedback. As I've told all 3 of them, and Joe Wilkins and Tobias and Colsey, if you're not playing as much as you want, we got to continue to get the feedback. We have to continue to be in Coach Stuckey and Coach Reese's office and say, what do I have to do to improve? And that's not just for those guys, but for everybody. If what you're getting on the practice field or in the game isn't what you want, don't just accept it. Go seek feedback. Sometimes that's not what you want to hear, right? It's not easy to hear things that you have to improve at. But if you really want to know how to get better and to get some of the results that you want, you got to go seek that feedback. But they've been practicing well. Lorenzo Styles has got to get better, and he's been practicing well. And Jaden Thomas and those guys that are playing right now, Brandon Lindsay, those wideouts, all have to get better. But, I see Tobias improving. I see Colsey improving. Joe Wilkins, they're all improving. And what package they'll have or what their impact will be on the game is still to be determined. But, all you can ask is the head coaches to see constant improvement out of those guys.
And kind of ask a similar question about the tight ends. with Bowen being gone for the year. I mean, Eli got a lot of reps and blocked well. What did you see from Eli, Stays, Brong if he's healthy now, and Evans if he's healthy now? What does that picture look like in terms of who's emerging as your best tight ends beyond Michael?
Oh, good. After Michael?
Yeah, after Michael, yeah. I got that one.
Yeah, let's start with Mitch. Mitch isn't ready yet. You know, he's getting closer and closer. I mean, if you ask Mitch, he's ready to go, but you ask the doctors, not quite yet. I hope to see him in another week or two. Kane Barong is getting better. He's just starting to practice the entire length of practice, and so he's improving. But those young guys, man, to see Eli Reardon in there, and you know, he has some of those natural abilities that you have to continue to coach and to tailor the exact details of what you want out of him, right? Eli Reardon's a guy that will go and try to knock your pants, and he will try to dominate you. Now let's make sure we use that mentality and put it exactly at the right detail that we needed, exactly at the right aiming point that we needed. But, I mean, he has it. He has those traits that you're looking for in a great tight end. And same thing with Holden Stays. And, you know, those guys are really, really improving. And the worst thing for our team is to lose a guy like Kevin Bowman. But the greatest thing for those two guys is to lose a guy like Kevin Bowman, because now they're thrust into a position where they have to help us and they have to play. And that means that Michael Mayer's got to lead. You know, Jarrett Parker is the tight ends coach, and Coach Parker's always going to coach those guys. But when a guy like Michael Mayer steps in there and says, hey, we need you guys to practice at this standard that we have, it puts a little bit added pressure on them. And so they're growing tremendously. They're improving, and I'm excited to see them on Saturday.
Second row, far left, Tyler James.
Marcus, looking back at the offensive success against UNC, how much of that is aligned with what you believe the identity of the offense will be moving forward, and how much of that was aligned with maybe some of the flaws in the North Carolina defense?
No, I think North Carolina's a good football team, and you saw that again this Saturday, you know, with them, going out and winning again. And they're a talented football team. They're a good football team, well coached. But I think that's what our identity has to be, Tyler, is that we have to be able to run the ball. And, you know, it's not always going to be explosive 10, 15-yard gains, but if you're able to move the ball with consistency and stay on track and stay in rhythm, again, it opens up everything you're off into a pass game. And so it's great to see. I think it's a testament to our offensive line. It starts with them. And I don't care what running back you have back there. If your offensive line isn't executing, blocking to the way it has to, nobody's going to be able to run the ball. So our offensive line continues to get better and better and better, which is really helping out our run game.
Why has Benjamin Morrison been able to not just make an impact early, but sustain that and continue that throughout the season so far?
Special, man. He's special. Kudos to Coach Mickens. Again, I've said this before, but he's done a great job in recruiting, and Ben Morrison and Jaden Mickey, and I can go back to our days in Cincinnati, and he brought in a guy like Sauce Gardner, and we knew those two guys were good football players. Did I think Ben Morrison would be starting as a true freshman? Probably not, but he's a good football player, and he's getting better, and both of those guys are going to help us right now, but also in the long term.
Front row on your right, Pete Sampson.
I was interested in following up on Morrison. Do you see the markers of a guy whose dad played and comes from a very athletic family where his siblings are also very competitive?
Yeah. Be careful how much credit you give to Pops, because Mom's done a great job. And the whole family is extremely talented. Their daughters are gymnasts and a great family. But he's just a mature kid. He's mature. He came in. He doesn't talk a lot. He just works. And he works. And yes, he's got good genetics, but I think he has a really good foundation. His high school, you can tell he's well coached. That's the one thing, just being on the road. I don't mean to get off subject a little bit. Being on the road recruiting, it's interesting going into these high schools and talking with coaches, and you say, okay, they're in a college-like system. They're being coached like college football players, and some they're playing see-ball, get-ball, and in your mind you say, okay, that guy's going to be he's going to take a little bit more time to develop. Ben Morrison's a guy that you can tell understands college football, the technical side of it. And he came in here, and he's blessed with God-given ability, but mentally he understands what it takes to have success at this level.
When it comes to messaging and finishing to preparation, I was curious how you applied that in practice when you talk about just sort of changing. Is it the drills you're running? Is it the message in practice? Is it how you conduct a coaches meeting? Like, how are you applying that message to practice so it's not just something you say?
To me, it's a point of emphasis post-practice, right? And in our coaching meetings, and that I tell the coaches, coach every play, right? Don't worry about the outcome. Don't worry about, did we win the game, how we did in practice. Just coach every play, right? And coach these guys. And the players have to hear that and say, okay, I want to be coached every play, And that's been a big point of emphasis for me, is that I don't care if we complete the ball. I don't care if it's a tackle for loss. What did Johnny do on this play? Did he do his job? Yes or no? If not, then why not? And let's fix it. And so that, to me, is more important than anything, is that our coaches coach every play. And we evaluate every play and not worry so much about the outcome. And so it's a point of emphasis. If we got to stop practice, stop practice. If we are in the middle of a scout team period and we need to stop it to correct somebody, stop it to correct it, because we can't just go on and saying, okay, hey, we made a good play. Johnny didn't do his job, but we scored a touchdown.
Were you less likely to do that in August?
Probably. I didn't. Sometimes it takes failures to really evaluate how you're leading, and it shouldn't take that. But for me, after the Marshall game, I kind of said, hold on, let's really, really look at how I am as a leader. Where can I improve? And it starts with me. It starts with the head coach and making sure that, you really improve as a leader. And one of those parts was like, hold on, let's stop worrying about finishing, because that's more outcome driven, right? Let's finish this game. We're up in the fourth. Finish the game. Let's really evaluate every single play and make sure we're executing.
Second row on your left, Sean Stiers.
Hey, Marcus. You were talking about Watts earlier, and most of what you talked about was with defense. Then when you talked about the receivers, I don't think he was kind of in that mix that you were talking about. So is he – what's his involvement, I guess, with the offensive side of the ball?
He's all safety. He's all safety now. We tried him in fall camp a little bit, moving him back to offense, but O'Leary wanted to fight every day to keep him on defense, and we just felt his role had more value to our team on defense than to go in offense and really compete to try to get playing time. We knew that defensively there was already a plan for him to play, and after a couple practices we said, let's just keep him on defense.
And then you were saying Styles needs to get better. What maybe specifically are you looking for from him right now to kind of elevate?
Yeah, consistency. And you know what? Zoe was the player of the game last week, and I'm always going to challenge Lorenzo to continue to be more consistent in what he does. But he's a heck of a football player that obviously had a big game versus North Carolina that we have to build upon. But with Zoe, it's continue to be consistent, right? Consistent in the details of your routes, consistent in catching the ball, consistent in making sure that you convert the routes that are supposed to be converted. So it's just consistency in what you're doing.
Second row on your right, Mike Berdino.
Hey, Marcus. Now 5 Power 5 schools have already fired coaches with a staff with guys who may show up in some of those searches. What do you know what you would do if there was a request to interview one of your guys in season? And how does that resonate? How does that strike you, all that, the quick trigger that's out there on teams that get off to slow starts?
It's tough, man. It's tough because you feel for guys that are in your fellow occupation, man. That I'm sure it's not a lack of effort, but we're in a result-driven business. And, it's a part of the profession we chose. We chose this profession. And but you never, want to see that, with people with families and because it not only affects the head coach, but it affects all those assistants that are with him, and it's tough. I've been on that side. I've been a part of a staff that's been fired. It's never easy. But you know what? You continue to work hard. Good things are happening to those people that work hard and do the right things. But to your point, we have a job to do every single week, and anything that's going to just distract us from getting our job done, we don't want. But I'm always going to be in a position where I want to make sure that I'm helping every person I'm surrounded by to reach their ultimate goals. And if part of that is to be interviewed to be the head coach, I'm the number one fan of if our guys can continue to push forward and reach their goals, then I want to help them do that. But I also want to help to make sure that we're helping our players right now reach their goals, and that's to win every game we play.
And then the other one is the NFL across the board now after the Tua Tagovailoa scare is looking at its concussion protocol. And then we talked a little in the fall camp about concussion. Has anything been enhanced in the way you do in-game concussion protection for your guys? And is there anything that, that sort of scare in the NFL makes you think you want to add another layer to how you do it?
Yeah, we're the number one priority for us as a coaching staff in a football program is player safety. And, obviously there's medical professionals all around me that really understand the intricate details of that. But we hope to never, ever put our players in harm's way. And their player safety is number one of utmost importance for our football program.
Back row on the camera deck, Matt Locke.
Hey, Coach, you get a chance to wear some really nice uniforms that your players do. When they get a chance to put that on and kind of go out and warm up and it's something new, how much does that affect the energy they come out with or maybe the swag they come out with pregame?
You sound like my kids. My son, I had 2 flag football games this week. I had a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they kept talking to me about drip. And I said, what is drip, man? And so I don't know. It's a belief, and I know in the Freeman kids, they feel like if they have drip or they look better, that they play better. But you know what? It's pretty cool. It is cool. And I don't know, as a player, I never had a chance to wear any other jersey than our normal home and away. But I think it's something that players nowadays, our young guys love it. They love to wear something new, something different. And, our kids love to wear the green jersey they wore a couple weeks ago. And it might even be a request. They said to maybe wear them again. I'm like, all right, guys, So I don't think it truly affects the way they play. But, you know what, if they look good and they feel good, I'm all for it. So anything to keep these guys confident, man, if it's a new jersey, for them to feel good about playing this game, I'm all for it.
We'll stay back here on the camera deck with Levon Whitaker.
Coach, what have you learned, I guess, through the first 4 games of the season from the head coach seat, and how has that helped you, I guess, navigate this team, to navigate to the first 2 wins of the season and going into this BYU matchup?
You never stop learning, man. You never stop enhancing. I don't care if I've been doing this since December or doing it for 10 years. I think the challenge to us as individuals is to find ways to improve. And that's the challenge for me as the head coach every day is find a way to improve. No matter what the result of the past game is, what the result of the last season was, how do you improve? And that's the challenge for us as a football program, right, is that can you really have a mindset of constant improvement? No matter how well you do, right? You can win a national championship. The next day you wake up, it's still going to be a challenge to how can you get better, because those around you are getting better. And it's a lot easier to improve, I think, maybe when you're not doing so well, right, where you're dying, you're just dying for a way to get better than maybe if you are doing well. And that's a challenge for us. We won 2 games, right? And I quickly remind our guys we have to have the same mindset in terms of evaluation and preparation that we had after the Marshall game. Because what happens is winning can mask that, right? Winning can mask the reality of what's going on in a game. And so that's what the challenge is for me as a leader, for us as a football program, is to truly find ways to have constant improvement no matter what the outcome of the game or a season is.
Front row on your right, John Bryce.
Hey, Marcus, we see injured guys on the sidelines around their teammates, but I noticed Tyler is in the coach's box with the offensive coaches. How did that come about? What are the benefits of that?
Well, it started off with, we didn't want him in any harm's way. He was fresh, I think, 2 or 3 days out of surgery, and we wanted to get him away from anywhere that he could possibly be in harm's way. And I think he's up there charting plays now and being another set of eyes, writing down notes. And so, again, if that's more beneficial for our offense, let's do it, and maybe at some point he'll come down and be a voice for Drew and Steve. But keeping him in the press box is one, is for safety, but two, it's a way he can chart things and sit down and really kind of just be a set of eyes up there for us.
Yeah, and I guess following that up, I was going to say, have you seen him apply that perspective or that vantage point with Drew, and how are those two continuing to help one another?
No, they got a great relationship, and I think, sometimes player to player, I think I used the same example with Mike May earlier. Player to player feedback can be much more beneficial maybe at times than coach to player, right? And that you can hear maybe the same message but in a different tone and in a different way. And so they've been really good. I sit in a lot of the quarterbacks meetings. Those two guys, man, really interact well, really bounce ideas off of each other and feedback with Coach Reese. And so it's a really, really healthy relationship that I really think is elevating the play of Drew Pine.
Final question today, front row on your left.
Marcus, we've obviously talked about the unique nature of playing in Las Vegas, but less about that and more so just playing an opponent like this at a neutral site. You did that in Phoenix against Oklahoma State. What did you learn about that? I know the circumstances were totally different. It was your first game, but what did you learn in taking on that task that you can apply to this week?
Well, I think for me, probably more than anything was looking back at last year's Shamrock Series game versus Wisconsin, right? And that at a neutral site is technically a home game for us in Vegas. But you know what? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of BYU fans there too, and enjoy the experience. That's to me, again, I said this before, but what makes Notre Dame unique, it's a distinction that we have a home game in Las Vegas versus a great opponent, but don't distract from what it takes to get the desired outcome. And I'll say it again, it's just your preparation and the execution.
And was there anything in that Wisconsin game or maybe that Oklahoma State game where you vividly remember and you say, okay, this is different about this week because we're going out here, we're playing a home game that's not truly a home game, and I need to do this differently as opposed to if we were going to play at Notre Dame Stadium?
No. The thing I like about away games is that there's a lot of times less distractions. You don't have to really deal with, the pregame festivities and recruiting and all those things. You kind of really just focus on, playing the game. But to me, the approach has to be the same, right? I know it's a home game. I think we're going to be able to have some recruits there, even though we can't interact with them. But the approach is still the same, man. The preparation and taking that field, take it all in. I got to find out if they're going to have NFL numbering and stuff like that on the field, because that can be different for the wideouts. The hash marks will be the same, I know that, but the numbering sometimes NFL stadiums can be different. But focus on the things that really matter, and that's, again, the execution.
Thank you, Coach Freeman.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.